happened. I had an operation at the end of July and I had to recover from it. Then, 4 weeks later, I got assaulted in the street and I got an injury and had to recover from that. And on top of that, my mother's been in hospital with some very difficult stuff and it's all been rather emotional. So that's why you haven't seen my face on the camera for rather a long period of time. But needless to say, or nevertheless, or whatever the phrase is, I'm here. My principal obsession when talking to you on this channel is to try and work out precisely what the methods of development should actually be. Now, my very, very early videos, in reality, what I was doing was just repeating essentially like what I thought was true at the time. A lot of that was to do with the way in which the dogmas of things like the creation of services and the rest of that should be done and all that kind of stuff, because that was like the traditions explained to me. And the way in which I saw it then. But then I kind of like changed in terms of my attitude, and a lot of my videos became about the various different types of the ways in which people have like engaged with weirdness in terms of like not only divination but also things like radionics and all that kind of stuff, and the symbols and just how traditions have happened in the world. Then I've kind of like moved into this weird state of contemplating some of my earlier experiences in a different light and in a more, I suppose, advanced light, which means that my attitude is kind of like moving towards a point of view that not only are there entities out there, but they have to be treated properly, and that they have real consciousness, and that we need to therefore have some kind of engaging with them in a more real way. So this is where you're looking at me in kind of like a split-minded way, because on one side of things I've still got my skeptical questioning approach, which I think we still need to carry on always applying to everything. All right, we still need to be able to distinguish when something has a result which is specific, time-bound, measurable, reliable and repeatable, as opposed to something which does not. Whilst I was going through this process, I was also thinking about precisely what should the actual specifics of training be, and what particular exercises are most specifically useful for anyone who wants to engage with all of this stuff. Of which the most interesting interpretation is what Crowley called the rising of the planes, but which is also present in the traditions of Enoch, which is essentially being in meditation and going up, 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 up for a long period of time, okay? And doing that on a regular basis. That seems to be specifically, as long as you're doing it on a regular basis, the thing which opens you up to dreams and other experiences of things such as guides and angels and ghosts. Okay, that is singularly the most important developmental exercise. Okay, it's not alpha meditation and so on and so forth, it's that particular ascension stuff. The next most important part, and there is from experience a very real feeling that this has importance, even though it seems a bit too wishy-washy, like from the proper wishy-washy world, okay? And that's opening up the chakras one at a time, doing visualizations on them. I think that the visualizations provided by Barbara Ann Brennan are the most accurate, based upon experiences, perceptions, and playing around with this stuff. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brilliant, white. That's fine, okay? Nice and slow, nice and clear, nice and bright. Do the best visualization that you can. You'll be probably doing the like circular breathing at the same time, if that helps. All right, and then the visualization of the ball of bright white light above your head, going down into your head, your neck, and then going down your left arm, your right arm, down through your chest, abdomen, going through your legs, and that's like a body scan meditation, and that seems to do something as well. And that if that's in the visualization fills you full of light and you can feel it, then you got something going on there. There's something real and something very genuine. Then at that stage, in that particular state, then it's a question of shifting your perception of awareness into different directions. And sometimes you got to really, like, you know, it's difficult to describe, but it's like a adaptation of your perception of how perception should be, and it's a bit of a headfuck to explain it, but you feel like you're moving your awareness through different like parts of the head and then going out your third eye or whatever direction it is that you require. And sometimes it's a question of focusing on like the sense of hearing, but you're like doing so like feeling light coming out the side of your head and moving upward, almost like horns coming out of your head, because that's a way of um, opening up your mind to something of a higher nature. And it's difficult to describe why that would be so important, but that seems to be like changing your perception of what you could hypothetically see and feel to another extent. Okay, the state of mind that they called gnosis within the pagan community is the same as the state of mind of prayer. So therefore it's the prayerful state which you have to be able to master and get into and be able to really feel it as being that tranquil, reverent, humble state, which is essentially where it all comes from. Whether you're doing so to open up for like a dark mirror scrying type of exercise, or whether you're doing it to try and manipulate energy, this all kind of like comes from that sort of place. And that is essentially what the process of magical training should actually be really about. And then from that you can get more creative and explore other things and maybe practice using other tools. But if you use the tools, then it's still a question of how the use of that tool is affecting your sensory perception and of course output of information from either the subconscious mind or the superconscious of the universe, whichever one you think it actually is at the time. That's pretty much all that you ever need to know as far as like what psychic development or spiritual development really is. Alright, another thing I would say is that there is a theory that higher entities get damaged if they come down too close to the earth plane, so maybe that's one of the real reasons for the casting of the circle, because it provides a safe space for another entity to enter into it temporarily whilst you're engaging with them. That just seems to be the way it seems to be. I don't know whether that makes sense. This is just me telling you from direct experience and experimentation and contemplating all the things that's happened to me over the years. If that makes any sense to you, then leave a comment below. If it doesn't, then leave a comment below. If you think I'm just a complete and utter weird, screwy, religious lunatic, then fine. You can say that in the comments as well if you want. I don't really give a sugar. And I'll speak to you again soon when another lot of inspiration is suddenly perked up inside my head, provided, of course, that I don't have more difficult things going on in my life. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened was my fucking computer died on me. Bastard. And that wasted ages and ages and ages, and it was a real pain in the ass, so I've now borrowed to buy a new computer so I can actually carry on living and working. Speak to you in a bit. Bye for now. Nick Dutch out.